And I'll just start this. Are you there? Hey, hey.
I'm over here. I'm down here on the blue track. So every time that song would start playing, at work, she'd have a seizure.
A simple noise like a radio could cause her great pain and distress that would last for several days, would just send her into a total episode.
Broadcasting from Nashville, Tennessee, offering a glimpse inside the music industry, shedding light on things they don't want you to know, and exposing some of the industry's biggest secrets. You're listening to the Turned Up Podcast, presented by Real Sound Productions. Here are your hosts, Jake Jones.
Right there betwixt them.
And Robert Venable.
Funny. What am I doing? Yeah, that's funny. Anyway.
Oh my goodness.
Why are you oh my goodnessing?
I ate so much food.
That was last week.
I know.
You ate that much food?
I ate that much food.
I ate a lot of food too. I think my favorite thing that I ate was the sweet potato casserole. It had so much brown sugar and just tons of marshmallows on top. It was perfect.
Sweet potatoes are disgusting.
When you go over to your mother-in-law's house, who is married to a chef, things are better than normal.
Okay, you win.
Yeah, that was great.
Although, I am very thankful for the food that I had, and it was very yummy.
What was your favorite thing?
My favorite thing every year is the stuffing. And I do like fancy stuffing, but I love just the cheap stovetop.
The red box.
Red box, add butter and water, and you're done just as much as any stuffing.
You're getting spiritual in here. That's good.
Green bean casserole is number 2 on the list.
Just kicked me off the list there.
The very bottom of my list is sweet potato.
The very bottom of my list is cranberry sauce, any of the stuff.
So I don't love cranberry sauce, but I don't like turkey at all.
What is wrong with you?
But I like it with cranberry sauce on it.
There was a hashtag going around on Twitter, ruin Thanksgiving with 4 words. And I think the best 4-word Thanksgiving ruining sentence I could come up with was, "Hey son, we're vegan."
Oh.
I'm like, how can you have Thanksgiving without turkey? But you don't like turkey. So for you, it'd be like, whatever.
Well, we had ham. First Thanksgiving in my entire life to not have turkey. And
that was me last year.
Didn't even miss it.
Last year was my first year without turkey. We had a honey baked ham.
Nice.
I stood in line behind your friends that were in a band.
Oh, wait, that's right.
Yeah.
Wait.
The tall guy, gray hair.
Oh, yeah, Guy Penrod.
Guy Penrod, that dude.
You stood in line where?
At the honey baked ham store. Yes, there's a honey baked ham store. It's in Brentwood.
That's a real thing.
Yeah.
Last year we ate at a buffet for Thanksgiving.
Have you ever gone to a place and had duck on Thanksgiving?
Never.
Me neither. Thought it'd be something fun to talk about, but I've got nothing.
Turducken?
Turducken. What is it? Was the Christmas story? Or was that Christmas? No, that was Christmas that they did that.
Stuff
because they had a turkey in the oven and all the wolf dog things ate it, and they went to the Chinese restaurant because it was open and they had the
rah 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 rah
yes.
rah rah rah.
Is that racist?
It is today.
Was it yesterday? Again, yes.
That's like the Oriental, right? Like, so Oriental, if you call someone Oriental now, that's not nice. But used to, that was just a thing.
That was like saying Asian?
Yeah.
Is Asian okay?
I think so. I think it depends on who you ask, but I think
if you ask an Asian, they're going to be like, nope.
Well, it's like Mexican. I'm sure it's not long until that's racist, but I'm American because I live in America. Technically, I guess Mexicans live in America too, but they live in Mexico. So they're Mexican, Canadian, if you live in Canada. But I guess United Statesian is doesn't roll off the tongue as well as American.
I'm a United Station.
Ooh.
Sounds like a way you'd say it. We should probably introduce ourselves.
Well, my name is Jake Jones.
I'm Robert Venable. Today we're going to be talking about podcasty things. We're actually not talking about podcasty things. We're talking about Melophobia.
Melophobia, which is... drum roll. I'm not going to tell you because first I'm going to tell you about my friend Robert Venable, who's sitting across from me, who just got his haircut today in a way that he's never had his haircut before. And he looks absolutely amazing. But he tells me that his head is shaped weird, and I can't disagree with him more. He's very, very handsome.
Is the horn coming out from this side? It's like a big horn.
I thought that was a tumor.
I could have a tumor.
Oh.
It's not a tumor.
Robert Venable is a Grammy-nominated, Dove Award-winning engineer, producer, songwriter with Shoalsville Music, drummer for the band As We Ascend, who's also drummed for tons of other huge, amazing bands.
And lots of small ones.
And yeah, like as we ascend.
Whatever, man.
He's a multi-instrumentalist. Before we started recording, he was letting me hear some of the guitar tracks that he's been working on, and my mind is truly blown, and I'm going to be without a job very soon. The guy works with the likes of Kelly Clarkson, 21 Pilots, and many more, anywhere from rock gods to pop
Goddesses?
princes and princesses. I don't know, goddesses, yep.
People?
But most importantly, he's an amazing friend.
Oh, thanks, man.
My best friend in the whole world. And I'm very proud of him as he recently placed 253rd in the 2018 World Extreme Ironing Championship. You heard that right, ironing, like you iron your clothes. It is a real thing. Look it up. Of course, Robert, you know it's a real thing because you just placed very high, number 253.
You are too nice to me. There were only 254 people in the whole competition. My mom was in there with me, and I think she just stopped halfway through to make me feel better.
And still got third. Is that right?
It's really tough ironing while crying. It's just, it's one of those things you almost just lost your drink. He thought he'd take a sip while I was talking. Big mistake. Huge. Yeah, so here it was, middle of Akron, Ohio, right outside City Hall. Set of stairs that we really liked there, Jake. From now on,
mourning the loss of his cricket.
Mourning the loss of my world record for the smallest. Yeah, you know what I mean. Anyway, so that was a bad place to stop that sentence.
Smallest blanket on a cricket jumping. I don't know.
You'll
I
have
can't
to listen
remember.
to previous episodes on that one because
we're just going to keep that one going every episode.
Every time. Akron, Ohio is going to be in every single episode. Big shout out to you, Akron. Yeah, so 254 of us, my mom and I included, we decided to line the streets out there on a very cold, blistery morning in June. And they gave us we had to bring our own irons and ironing boards, but they had to be pre-checked and certified and all that kind of stuff. And we didn't know what we were ironing. We had no idea. Was it going to be gabardine? Was it going to be a wool blend or a cotton blend or synthetic or polyester, which is tough. True story, once set down an iron for a split second, not leaving it, but went to iron a pair of pants that were polyester. This was not in the 70s, by the way. And the second the
way
iron
before that
touched the pants, like the very first initial fabric on iron contact, it just singed and melted and turned into this plasticky syrupy goo, which made strings of syrupy goo go to the iron, and it just ruined them.
And now we know where your dreams of being in the World Ironing Championship, Extreme Ironing Championship, first was born.
Yeah, so I did learn that you have to plug in the irons before you try to iron things, and that tears from weeping do not help make creases in khaki pants.
Well, you're very good at it, so.
I wasn't very good at it. I came next to last. Thanks, Mom, for loving me that much to take last place. My mom's very good at ironing. My dad's better, which is weird. He was military, though, so I think they made you iron in the military. And
that makes sense.
Every Sunday before church, Dad would iron all our clothes.
Oh, wow.
Family. All six of us.
I used to have to iron my own clothes every Sunday before church, and I got in trouble if they weren't ironed.
So once I turned 14, I had to iron my own clothes. Anyway, Jake Jones.
Hi.
Hi.
Hi there.
I see you're wearing a Cubase hat today.
Hi, lady.
Hi, lady. I'm not a lady. Are you sure, lady?
Your turn, lady.
Crank Yankers, right?
Yep.
I nailed it. I'm not very good with like TV shows and movies and actors and stuff.
Oh, I'm horrible.
I'm 2 for 2 lately.
2 for 2 or 2 for...
2 for the last 2. The 500 before that, I was way off. Dude. So you, being the shortest member of the band as we ascend at 6'2".
And that's not a lie. I'm in a band with giants.
Dude, we should change our name to something. We ascended.
Amongst the Giants?
Never. That'll never catch on.
Those guys just had a record drop. You should check it out.
They are actually a really good band. Young guys, but very, very talented and
very short. They're all pretty short.
They are short.
They're short guys.
But they're really young, so maybe they haven't hit puberty yet.
Well, to them, they are amongst the Giants, like literally at all times.
Just going to Walmart. We're amongst giants.
Yep.
That makes sense. You are the singer and a singer and a guitar player for the band As We Ascend, formerly of We As Human. You've got to play all the coolest places, which I wish I could, including Red Rocks. You tell me stories about that place.
Twice.
Dude.
We'll make it.
Machine Shop. I saw a picture of you resurface on social media recently, which I don't know if you've seen or not. Of you and your old bandmates standing in not the lobby, but like the walkway by the door that says Machine Shop.
Oh, yeah, the famous
like
hallway.
A press kit looking thing. Yeah, the hallway.
Yeah, they have. Yeah, you get your picture taken in the hallway, and then they put it up in the hallway.
And that's the thing.
Yep.
But I saw that. Anyway, you've got a number one Billboard charting song that you mixed, co-produced, co-engineered, played guitar, sang.
So do you.
All the things on Rock Album of the Year, Best New Artist of the Year, all these awards and accolades. You have your own recording studio because you mix, you engineer, you songwrite with Shoalsville Music, you produce. And one thing that we haven't talked about yet in the history of Turned Up Podcast, which I'm surprised hasn't shown up yet. For the last 4 years, you've been a beta tester for allergies. Before they go public and can declare something as an actual allergy, they inject you with it and see if you're allergic to it. But tell us some of the things the strangest ones that you've had to encounter lately.
Honestly, and this one isn't lately. So they were going.
You say so much without saying anything at all, Jake.
Sorry, I'm being blinded by your gold record over there, hanging on the wall. So Walmart was interested in rolling out this new allergy that they were calling gluten. Mm-hmm. And so they said, hey, we need to come up with an allergy. We're not sure what to call it. And so they had a list of words, and apparently one of their employees sat on it with their gluteus maximus. And so they decided to call it gluten. That's where it came from. And so they said, what a great idea. We'll invent this allergy called gluten allergy or gluten intolerance, and we'll roll that out. So I was a beta tester for it. And I told them, like, I don't know, I don't feel good about this one. Literally, I pooped my pants a couple of times. It was very embarrassing.
And that wasn't really different from normal days.
Well, no, I felt like it was a little different.
Okay.
The timing was different.
Got you.
I'm on a set schedule. This was...
You're very regular. You regularly poop your pants.
Yes, and this was irregular. I wasn't expecting it. And so that one was just a really strange one, and I suggested that they don't do it.
You said nay.
I said nay, but they rolled out with it anyway, and turns out it was a hit.
Have you ever found it weird being the only person on the panel for like beta testing allergies?
I guess I never thought of it.
It's weird. Huh?
Am I really the only person? They told me there were a bunch of other people.
I think they just said that because you kept showing up every day, and they're like, "What could we do to make him leave?" Like, hey, go home and sleep on this and see what you think. Yeah, man, it's just really, they just draw on you with ink pens. There are no needles or anything. They haven't been giving you anything.
Wait, what?
Those are Skittles that you've been taking.
Oh man, I thought allergies were delicious.
One of my previous jobs was marking like all the S's off of the Skittles, so you wouldn't tell.
Wait a minute, is that how we know each other?
That's where we first met, and then you started following me home.
Oh, Robert, you're ridiculous.
Hey, I am ridiculous. Let's jump right into this. We were talking about Melophobia. What was the word?
Robert.
No, that wasn't it.
I want you to go somewhere with me for a moment.
Again? Hold on, let me take my headphones off.
All right.
Now what?
All right, I want you to close your eyes. Imagine you're out doing your usual shopping for chicken nuggets and ironing boards.
Okay.
The usual.
Normal.
You're minding your own business when suddenly you notice a faint noise over the store's speaker system.
Okay.
You continue down the aisle trying to decide whether the steel top board is better or worse than the typical cloth top.
There are big differences, by the way.
There definitely are. You reach the end of the ironing board aisle, and you're right below a speaker, and you realize that what you're hearing is your worst fear.
Big swimming pool full of milk and no straws. Second worst fear? Maybe?
Second worst fear.
Okay.
You start to panic. Your breathing gets shorter, your heart rate faster, you start sweating excessively. Your mouth is becoming drier than the Sahara Desert, and you feel your stomach squeeze as your lunch starts to rise up your esophagus. A nearby clerk notices you shaking and asks you if everything is okay, but no matter how hard you try, you're unable to utter a single word. You're sunk.
Oh, man.
You, my friend, have melophobia, the fear of music.
That would really suck for what I do for a living.
Yep. Would not be what you did for a living, that's for sure.
No way.
So melophobia, the fear of music, the origin comes from the Greek word melopia.
Melophobia. I guess it's like onomatopoeia.
Right.
Different.
Some people say melodia. Same thing. It's the art of forming a melody. And phobia, of course, meaning fear.
Right.
Not to be confused with phonophobia, the fear of loud noises, although they can coexist.
I can see how they could overlap, yeah.
Also not to be confused with the 2013 Cage the Elephant album.
The first thing I thought.
Melophobia, or the Talking Heads record.
Fear of Music.
Fear of Music, big breakout one. So if you start to Google this, you're going to find a lot about the Talking Heads and Cage the Elephant.
It was really tough trying to do some kind of research on this without stumbling, 99 out of 100 articles are about Cage the Elephant. So you have to really dig deep to find something about this. Maybe search the archives of Reddit or some other random forums of people with different phobias, and you'll find some stuff. But we found some stuff.
We found a really interesting Vice article that talked about it, and they sat down with a doctor, Dr. Marcia Johnson, and so we'll be quoting her a little bit in this episode because she works with people with auditory issues and deals with people with melophobia.
So melophobia is it's not a small thing, and it's maybe a little more common than you and I had thought previous to knowing this even existed. Symptoms include things like extreme anxiety and panic.
Yeah. Shortness of breath, rapid heartbeat, excessive sweating,
dry mouth, nausea,
inability to articulate words, and shaking. And we constructed a nice, beautiful little
nice story you told me.
Story hitting on all of those symptoms.
It's a real thing.
And those are I just reading through them and thinking about anything that would cause all of that at once would be terrible, but especially hearing music and it causing all of that would be awful.
And upon doing research on this particular phobia, it's interesting to know that you can't, a lot of times it's not from birth. Sometimes you acquire this fear, this actual it's not a disease necessarily, but this disease.
I mean, I would call it a disease. It seems to be more of like a mental illness.
Sure, you can acquire it later in life at any time based off of, well, let's just dig into this. Why? What are some causes of melophobia?
Well, most of the time, but not all the time, it can be traced to a mixture of internal predispositions like
genetics and stuff.
Yeah, hereditary, all that stuff.
That makes sense.
And also some kind of traumatic event. Now that could be like what we think of as a traumatic event. You got beat or something while there was a song playing, but typically a traumatic event is something like just something traumatic to your ears. So
I was thinking about this.
Could have been having fun, enjoying yourself, but your ears took a beating and created a lot of pain or something.
Or if maybe you were at a concert and someone accidentally hit the wrong button and blasted the music.
Yeah.
And if you're a certain type of person and your brain reacts certain ways, that could traumatize you for life. Even if you're like at a young age when this happens, or at any age, if you're a certain type of personality where things get to you and stick with you and can traumatize you. If something like that happened, then you have this melophobia. And anytime you hear music or you think music's going to be played, you're scared. You're scared to go to concerts, and maybe it starts there. Yeah. Maybe it starts as like, well, I'm not going to go to a concert anymore because I know what happens. Well, I also hear music at Walmart, so I'm not going to Walmart anymore. If I get in the car, maybe the music will come on when I turn the car on. So it could. I'm imagining it could be fairly easy to become reclusive.
Yeah, well, we've got a story about someone very specifically that all of those things.
Well, let's go.
So for melophobia specifically, the greatest causes are tinnitus. Or
that's that really high pitched ringing in your ear,
right? Which is like your ears work like they're a muscle. They have muscles and bones, and then a membrane, your eardrum,
right?
And those muscles in your ears are just like any other muscle. You can hyperextend them by causing them to vibrate too much if the sound is too loud or for too long of a time.
You wear it out.
And when your ear muscles get sore, instead of aching like regular muscles, they ring. Yeah. And that's called tinnitus.
And it's annoying.
It's really annoying. Especially if you go to loud concerts, most of the time, I'm sure once you get home, unless you just already damaged your ears too bad, you'll hear that ringing in your ears. That's what that is. The other one is nothing I had heard of prior to this research, but hyperacusis or acousis, talking about like acoustic hyperacusis. And that is an increased sensitivity to certain frequencies and volume ranges of sound. And so that sensitivity could be just a sort of like, oh, I really don't like that sort of sensitivity, or it could be a physical, like, oh, that hurts. Either or.
It's causing a negative effect or a negative implication in your brain.
Exactly.
Makes sense to me.
So all that is according to Dr. Marcia Johnson, an audiologist and clinical director at the Oregon Tinnitus and Hyperacusis Clinic.
There's a whole clinic about this.
There is, and because tinnitus is fairly common. What's funny is as we were going through this, because we'll talk about it later, you can have this phobia and not know it, or know that that's what that is. And looking back, I have one friend in particular that kind of checks off a lot of these boxes. I remember him constantly wearing ear protection, really having these big freakouts if you ever made a loud noise that, before he could get his earplugs in.
Was he on the spectrum at all? Do you know?
I don't think so.
Because I know some people that are on the spectrum or with Down syndrome or other people have an extreme sensitivity to noise or sound in general. Some of them are given, earmuffs or earplugs or something just for being in public.
Well, I'm trying not to give too many details away, but this guy was a very, very well-known musician.
Dang it. Okay, keep going.
Doesn't mean that he wasn't any of those things, but I don't think so.
Gotcha.
So, what does melophobia look like?
Bluish around the edges.
Okay.
Sharp sides.
I could picture that.
Nothing like that.
Oh, okay. Oh, I was way off.
Melophobia is actually typically a fairly rational fear, man. It's one of those things that, because of the wide range of frequencies associated with music, the highs and the lows and the louds and the quiets, it can easily trigger an episode of tinnitus in those who are easily susceptible. It's hard saying that word sometimes. Susceptible. But for the same reason, music specifically can be extremely painful for those with hyperacusis or acousis. I'm going to say acusis. I think
that sounds better.
Yeah. It flows off the tongue a little better. But for this reason, it's not uncommon for chronic sufferers of these conditions to turn their rational caution into an irrational fear. And that's important in an effort to avoid the problem altogether. So that irrational fear is when people begin to cross the line into melophobia.
Okay. So it makes sense. I went to a concert. It hurt my ears.
It's like hesitation.
For 2 weeks, my ears rang and I couldn't sleep. Now that it's gone away.
Yeah.
Just what you said. I never, ever want to ever do anything that could even possibly, maybe remotely cause that to ever happen again.
Yep.
And so they go too far the other way and wear earplugs to drink their coffee in the morning.
Right. And there are people who that's funny. There are people who get in car accidents and will never ride in a car again, or will wear a helmet while they're driving just because they had a head injury from being in a car wreck. And it's not totally irrational, but it can become a little like, okay, hey, that's a little much. But yes, same way with this, like we said earlier, go to a loud concert, blows your eardrum or something. Wow, not doing that again. Or you're scared. Or what if that happens while we're shopping at Kroger? What if someone hits the wrong button? Nope, not going. Like suddenly you're a recluse.
Yeah. And as you'll see, in this Vice article, Dr. Johnson actually tells a story of kind of what this looks like because it's pretty extreme. So in 2010, Vice posted an article titled "The Fear of Music" or just "Fear of Music."
Scary.
And Dr. Johnson tells a story of one of her patients that we'll call Jane. She can't tell what the gal's real name is. But,
sure.
So Jane.
Makes sense.
Jane suffers from hyperacusis, and as a result, is locked in her bedroom 24/7, unable to leave for more than just a few minutes at a time.
Whoa.
Yeah. Her hyperacusis was triggered by the onset of arthritis while she was in college studying singing.
That's ironic.
Well, while the arthritis didn't directly affect her hearing whatsoever, it did cause immense debilitating pain in her joints and muscles and everything that arthritis does, resulting in her having to drop out of school and give up her ambition for a musical career. Are you starting to get a picture?
So she's associating this pain with the loss of her music career?
Basically, yeah. She's saying, I will never get to have a career in music because I'm having to drop out of college and I can't. I mean, in this article, they talk about literally her classmates had to carry her to her classes. That's the only way she was able to get through that year of college. And so while I would argue, well, no, you don't have to give up on your dreams. She did. And so she's like, I can just never listen to sound again. I can't listen to music.
Dude.
Yeah. So the depression and psychological distress that it caused allowed her to only be able to tolerate about 15 minutes of any kind of noise whatsoever, but especially music and the human voice.
It's like the radio?
Per day.
Wait, per day?
15 minutes a day.
I couldn't imagine.
Of any kind of sound.
I mean, like, you can't do anything.
Nope.
Yeah, you can't turn on the blender. No TV.
But definitely no blender. No TV. But like even, well,
What if you had a house with creaky floors? That would suck.
So you'll see a simple noise like a radio could cause her great pain and distress that would last for several days, would just send her into a total episode.
So are we saying, I mean, this is mental, right? Not like a mental in a negative way, but this is like literally a mental thing. This is
Correct.
something maybe it's like a psychologist could help you get over.
Well, right. Well, we'll get there.
Okay.
So she had to wear earplugs 99% of the day, even limiting her exposure to things like a ceiling fan or soft outdoor noises, birds chirping or the wind or whatever.
The pleasant things.
Yes, she couldn't even do that.
Jeez.
So this Dr. Johnson said that she had to treat her with therapy, of course, but because of her phobia, could only speak with her a total of about 15 minutes per week.
Ask.
Accumulatively, like 15 minutes. So maybe a minute here, a minute
Maybe
there.
you could write down things or email her?
I don't know. So this was 2010.
I'm quitting music. I'm going to be a psychologist.
So Jane couldn't bring herself to leave her home, and that's why it had to be over the telephone. Jane was 23 years old at the time that she was having treatment. And I don't know the follow-up on Jane, but that is
you can't just leave me hanging.
A great example of a day in the life of someone with melophobia.
So this is along the same lines as musicogenic epilepsy and audiogenic seizure disorder.
I could see the comparison, that sound triggering something in your brain for sure. I definitely would say that while I know plenty of people who would look at someone with melophobia and be like, oh, you baby, get over it.
Yeah.
Somebody with musicogenic epilepsy.
This takes it a step up here.
It's no laughing matter.
So in 2008, a 25-year-old Long Island woman named Stacey Gale was actually diagnosed with musicogenic epilepsy. It's untreatable by medicine, and the cause of her frequent grand mal seizures remained a mystery until she started noticing that every time, get this, Sean Paul's song Temperature.
That's a great song.
So every time that song would start playing, at work, on her iPod, on shuffle in her car, at a party, on TV, she'd have a seizure.
Wow. I remember this making the news.
Is that not ridiculous? So it turns out the specific frequencies that are used in the song, like just the way it happened. And Jake, you and I, we produce music for a living. And a lot of times we're not thinking about specific frequencies interacting as far as this note added to this note, like a math equation could create these kind of overtones or harmonics. Just to get completely nerdy with you, like 440 hertz, A in the scale. It's how we reference our pitch. Just that's all you have to know. But there are resonant frequencies. If you play that note on a guitar, that would be at 880 hertz,
which is double,
as well as 220 hertz,
and half, yeah.
As well as 110 hertz and 55 hertz, which is really low, and goes all the way up to where you can't hear it. And when you add that to another note in the chord, there are other frequencies that appear. And you and I know this because we're nerds, and so we do for a living. We can see it on a spectrograph, and we can figure it out, and we can hear it, and we can be like, why is that harmonic coming? Why? It's a whole other thing.
And those are called overtones and undertones.
And harmonics and things that just happen and are generated that aren't, we're playing an A and a C together, but it might be creating another note somewhere.
Side note, total gonna rabbit trail just for a second.
Go.
Save that thought. Put a pin in it.
Pen.
In 2017, our band, As We Ascend, played our very first show ever in not Akron, Ohio, but at Atwood Lake.
Yeah, just outside Akron.
And
Dang it.
so we have a song called Tell Me. It's our number one hit.
Yeah.
And the song starts off with this really deep, low rumble bass pad.
You might hear it at the beginning of our podcast.
Oh yeah, duh. That's the song. Wow.
Every episode.
That's the song. So that low bass, whenever you're on stage and it starts playing, it's blasting through those subwoofers. I mean, it shakes the stage. And that's the only thing playing when the vocals come in, when I start singing.
It's that little loop, yeah.
And so that's what I'm listening to find my note, to find my tone.
Which in a studio or isolated situation or car or iPod is very easy to find reference to that note.
Totally. But on that stage, because there wasn't just one subwoofer, there were like 8 on each side.
There were plenty of them.
They all were bouncing off of different things on the stage. They were bouncing off of trees and the people in the crowd and the everything, and blending together to create overtones and harmonics that generated a different note than what was actually playing.
It's real life. This happens.
So in my ear, we didn't have in-ears that day.
No.
We were just using floor wedges.
I used in-ears, but I don't need them. I play drums.
That bass was so overwhelming that I heard a note that was not real. And that was the note that I thought I was supposed to be singing to. And it sounded clear as day. I mean, it wasn't confusing. I heard it just perfectly clear. I'm like, oh, okay, this is a note.
And you sang with authority. You came in with like, this is the note I need to do because you heard whatever that resonant frequency was, until you realized that sounds weird when you started playing guitar.
Yeah, all of a sudden, our other singer and guitarist, Justin Forshaw, he starts singing his part. I'm like, wait a minute, he's singing the wrong thing.
I had no idea what was going on.
Oh no, I'm singing the wrong thing. And I mean, it's totally bizarre. It was a mind game. You know, once you, like, if you ever look at an image and you perceive it, we've seen those online. You
all
see
those
them on
illusions,
Facebook. Yeah. You know, you look at it and it's confusing. You can't tell what it is until your eye finally locks into it, and then you can't unsee it, no matter how hard you try. It's like, oh, now all I see every time I look at that image is that thing.
It's like that stinking Laurel Yanny thing.
Yep.
I can only hear it a certain way now.
So, also the gold dress, blue dress. So
yeah, the blue dress.
Turns out it was blue and black. Like the people who owned it,
normal people,
said that that's what it was.
And there was a whole shoe thing, pink shoes
it.
And white shoes.
Yeah.
I don't know.
So the problem for me that day on stage was that song was blue and black, and I was hearing gold and white in my ear, and started singing gold and white, and then turns out I was wrong.
I should have sang black and yellow.
Black and yellow. There's a video of it online, and I want it to go away, but it won't.
It's probably the most plays we'll ever have on a video.
Probably. But it's just to prove your point even further, that there are extra notes and harmonics and other frequencies that are generated when multiple frequencies blend together.
And we don't think about those. Sometimes we do if we hear them, or maybe we're like, hey, let's just watch for some build up, or in the mixing or mastering phase, we see on a spectrograph that, whoa, what is that? And then you start hearing it, you can't unhear it. However, that just happens. That's life. That's what, I mean, even talking in a room right now, there are reflections going off that if you sit on the other side of the room, you'll hear a different frequency than I might hear over here.
Yeah.
We were listening to some songs and you heard the subwoofer, a lot more bass over where you were sitting than where I was sitting.
Yep.
Anyway, so Stacey Gale heard Sean Paul's temperature, started having seizures. It's like an episode of Seinfeld. That commercial, every time that commercial played, they'd have a seizure. Anyway, so this was actually confirmed by her doctor, Ashish Mehta, who had to perform multiple brain surgeries to cure Stacey of this rare form of epilepsy. It's so incredible what doctors do, like their knowledge, and like, you know what? You're having a seizure every time you hear that song? Let me root around in there with a stick for a minute.
See if I can find that dad burn clot.
See if I can find that dad burn clot. I'm just going to cut the red wire and see what happens. And then, so how do you test that? Like, okay, you're awake? Just one more thing I want to say. I got that right. Oh, dang it.
Well, okay. So are you ready for this?
Okay, go.
So while she could pinpoint it to that song specifically,
Yeah.
of course, there are other things in the world and in her life that were also hitting those same frequencies. She was a bank teller and might be at work and have a seizure or 2 or 5 or 7 or
Jeez.
10. She was let go from her job after having 10 seizures one day. She also sang on her church's choir. Yeah, that didn't work out.
Wow.
Had to quit singing at church.
Wow.
But she specifically recalled hearing. She was just remembering. Oh yeah, I was at that party and
There's that
Sean
song
Paul's
again.
Temperature came on, and I.
Doc, what's
had a
the
seizure.
last thing you remember? I was jamming to Sean Paul's Temperature, jumped up on the bar, and then boom.
Oh no, that'd be awful. So what this doctor actually did was got her in the room, plugged in some headphones, and put on the song. And sure enough, so they opened up her skull and put a bunch of electrodes in to find out where in her brain this was happening.
It's so incredible, dude.
Closed it all back up. So they hadn't fixed anything yet.
Just to monitor it.
And while she was out, they started playing the song. Sure enough, her brain started freaking out. And which I feel like my brain might do that every time Kanye West comes on. I just don't have a seizure. My brain's just like, this sucks.
I have a seizure every time it happens, and my right arm hits the little dial that turns it to mute.
Oh, that makes sense.
It's crazy. Every time I hear
Okay, so we have the same.
certain artists.
You must have audiogenic seizure disorder.
Only on the right arm.
Right arm, only during Kanye West.
Tweet me.
But no, and so once they figured out what part of her brain this was happening in, they opened her back up, took the electrodes out, and literally just removed the portion of her brain that was having these seizures.
A little bit of a lobotomy.
And she hasn't had a seizure ever since.
That's great. Has she done anything ever since? Just to clarify.
As far as I know, her life is totally normal.
That's cool. I'm going to tweet her. I'm going to find her. I'm going to find Stacy on Twitter, and we're going to talk.
You should. I actually, if you look for her, you'll find her. She's not very hard to find online. But so what exactly is musicogenic epilepsy or audiogenic seizure disorder like really? Like we know that this woman was listening to a certain song and it was causing her to have a seizure, but let's dive into that just a little deeper.
I think we should. According to Dr. Marsha Johnson, certain sounds or tones, aka music, can stimulate the central nervous system in a way that provokes a brain seizure. But then she continues and says, quote, I've seen quite a few of these cases over the years. They're often induced by a closed head injury or an illness. Interesting. I recall one fellow who was in a rear-end whiplash car accident. A 2,000 hertz, 2 kilohertz pure tone was presented to his left ear in a sound booth, first at 0 decibels, which, you can't hear, it doesn't exist, and then raised slowly 1 decibel at a time. He went into a grand mal seizure at about 20 decibels, which is pretty soft, Jake. You're thinking concerts are anywhere from 90 to 120 decibels.
Which is so loud.
Which is really loud, but 20 decibels, that's pretty quiet.
That's quieter than like car noise.
Oh, yeah. So another such patient, following a similar car accident, suffered complete loss of consciousness, learning how to talk, when trucks roared by with their lower frequency rumbles, which is true. So if you're ever sitting in your house and you hear a truck drive by, sometimes you kind of hear it before it really gets there. You hear the
yep.
And then you hear the brake squeal or whatever. But she would fall to the ground senseless. In that case, I suggested the neurologist conduct a resting EEG, and this showed that her brain was normal when resting in a quiet environment. When an audiometer was attached via headphones and a stimulus at 500 hertz, which is, mid-low. It's not low.
That's not like super
That's not
low.
like sub-frequencies or anything.
That ooh.
Yeah, around there. Yeah, glad we did that together, Jake. That was fun. But it's a mid-low frequency. Now that's presented. Her brain EEG showed epileptic-type activity. Now, while these situations are extremely rare, a more common and lighter form of this issue is known as Tullio syndrome and is typically treated in dizziness or balance clinics.
Which I didn't know there was such a thing as a dizziness or a balance clinic. And it is really interesting. Our ears and the fluid in our ears, which we all have, it's normal. And it should be rising and falling throughout the day for different reasons.
Normally, yeah.
But it completely affects our sense of balance.
The equilibrium.
Yeah.
Like a little level that you use in a garage while you're building something with wood to see if it's level. A little liquid bubble.
Yeah. Our brains do the same thing.
It's a true statement. So if you have melophobia, you're just kind of screwed.
Well, you were asking this earlier. And there are some things that you can do. So melophobia is, as with all phobias, it's an issue of the mind.
Just wrapping your brain around it too much.
Yeah. And so first of all, if you want to treat it, you have to try to get to the cause if you can. So some doctors might prescribe drugs, but just like with anything, drugs might help quell the symptoms, but won't solve the problem. Just like, if you're depressed, you can get on antidepressants, but that's not going to fix your depression. You might need to see someone, figure out what's causing your depression, and then try to get off the meds. So
what was that show? The Better Call Saul. The guy who wouldn't go outside because he thought he was
his
allergic.
brother. It's his brother, yeah.
Yeah.
Electricity.
Allergic to the electricity that's created by the phone lines or electricity lines or even the sun. So he had his whole house foiled up, and
it was so interesting. It's a total rabbit trail, but
I know.
You never really do find out if he really was or really wasn't.
I think you do.
Really?
Yeah, go back and watch it.
Okay. So good. I wouldn't mind watching it again.
That's a great show. Breaking Bad, the movie.
What?
They're working on it, or rumors of it, or something.
Really?
I'm going to Google that right now while you continue talking. I'm back. Let's crawl out of this rabbit hole. That was crazy.
So treatments for melophobia, probably something I would do if I had it is counseling and rehabilitation. Pretty simple. The counselor or doctor will expose the patient to common sounds and soft music for limited periods of time, starting with a very brief exposure and then extending the time allowed as the therapy continues. The idea is that the patient is able to eventually learn that normal everyday sounds or music at a reasonable level aren't going to hurt them, because that's typically their biggest fear is that, oh no, the music at Walmart is going to cause me to have tinnitus again.
Yeah.
And then, of course, in the example of that girl, she was so hurt and distraught by the fact that she had to give up on her dreams that just the idea that anything in the world was making sounds was completely unbearable for her.
Dang, man.
And there's, oddly enough, there is in some ways that I could relate to that. I was in a band. We were doing really well. We were on our way up. And then for reasons completely outside of my control, the band came to an end. And for a brief moment, I was worried. I thought that my dreams were over. All this work and pain and just everything that I had put into this for years was just gone in an instant. Yeah. And I didn't want to listen to music. I resented every band. I just hated everything for a minute because I was like, man, I just heard about my own stuff. And I got over it very, very quickly and started another band. But I couldn't start
cooler.
Well, and I couldn't start a band until I got through that, because initially I was like, I don't want to be in another band.
It was a bad breakup.
It was a bad
But
breakup.
we're a better girlfriend anyway.
Oh.
Side note, it was confirmed as of November 7th that Breaking Bad is coming out with a new movie, a two-hour-long movie, which could end Better Call Saul. Yeah, you have to look it up.
So I heard that they signed on for another season.
But this movie's in the works, right now. I know.
I mean, we knew that Better Call Saul was finite because eventually they have
they have to catch up.
Yeah.
To Breaking Bad.
Can't go on forever. But they do, throughout Better Call Saul, show bits of after Breaking Bad at the beginning of every season.
I know.
And the last 2 or 3 seasons, if you watch them back to back, string together in one story.
It's true.
Which I did recently.
We digress.
Anyway, another treatment for melophobia is hypnoanalysis or hypnotherapy, which is exactly what it sounds like.
I always wondered about that.
Right? Well, so get this. This was really interesting for me. A therapist speaks to the patient's subconscious by hypnotizing them and retraining their mind to associate good thoughts and feelings towards music. It's quick. It's safe. It doesn't require any kind of medicine. It doesn't take too long. But the interesting thing is to me, I would instantly assume, oh, well, that's holistic. Not that all holistic things are bad, but that's just a nice idea.
Yeah.
And,
that's cool if it works, but there's scientific,
But it's backed by the American Medical Association, the AMA.
If you watch any documentary on Netflix, you'll know that could be sketchy, though.
I mean, it could be, but the thing
it could be political.
Well, and it's been backed since 1958 and never challenged.
I mean, smoking was all right then too.
It's true. But since then, the AMA has said smoking's bad, but they haven't said that hypnotherapy is bad. But let me. What I want to get to is
hypnotherapy doesn't cause cancer, Jake.
It might.
We'll find out.
No, but the thing is, it's a mind thing. So even if being hypnotized in the way that we think of as being hypnotized, where you're just like not in control of yourself anymore,
with a stopwatch or like a
pocket watch,
spirally clock that turns.
Right.
Yeah.
So even if that's not real, and I'm not saying it is or isn't, because I have no idea.
I tried to hypnotize my brother once. It didn't work.
I've tried to hypnotize myself. It didn't work. But
yeah, me too.
But regardless, even if it doesn't work that way, we're talking about a disease of the mind, and that is literally controlled, begins and ends with your thoughts. And so this is an example of any kind of placebo. Should a person genuinely, truly believe that it works, would cure them, because it's not a physical issue in any way.
Which your brain is very powerful and can do that.
I mean, placebos, for real,
they work.
They work with actual physical ailments.
And if you don't know what a placebo is, it's actually just a sugar pill. It's just a pill. They used to call them sugar pills. I don't even know if they have sugar in them anymore, but just a pill that does nothing. There's no medicinal qualities to it whatsoever. It's just to trick your brain into thinking, hey, if I take this pill, I'm helping this problem I have. I'll get over this cold faster by taking this cold pill, which this cold pill is really nothing.
Well, and fun fact, every clinical trial of any medication that is ever allowed to be for sale involves a 50% blind placebo. So that means that out of 100 people that agree to go through the medical trial of this new medication, half of them, 50 of those people, are going to be taking placebos.
But not knowing they're taking placebos.
But not knowing it's blind. Yeah, so they don't know. It's double blind. So no one knows whether they're taking the real one or the placebo. And then throughout the study, they check up continually about symptoms and different things.
Progress and whatnot. Yeah.
And so the idea being that if the actual medication does just as well as the placebo, then there's just the medicine's not really doing anything. But people's minds are telling them that it is. But it's very interesting to look at those studies. I take a medication every day, and so I researched the study of it. And
Flintstones vitamins are not medication, Jake.
Yes, they are.
I tell you
okay,
this every day.
I don't even chew them. I just swallow them.
The red Pebbles ones are not. That doesn't make them any special. Any more special than the Bam Bams?
We'll talk about the
Freds.
No, you're wrong. You're wrong. Okay.
Take your Flintstone. Take your Flintstones in your pocket. Take your Flintstones in your pocket. Your right pocket. Your right pocket. I'm impressed with your ability to fake chew. Wow. That sounded like you really drank something and chewed something, but you didn't really chew anything.
But I drank something.
Yes, you did.
So that makes sense. I don't know. That was just a fun thought, fun fact. The
next one's fun.
It is. And do you want to talk about it?
I'll talk about it.
Yeah, you do this one.
NLP. So neuro-linguistic programming. Basically, in a nutshell, it's the study and practice of how we create our reality. The basic premise of NLP is that the words that we use reflect an inner subconscious perception of our problems. So if these words and perceptions are inaccurate, they will create an underlying problem as long as we continue to use and to think them. Going back to this whole mental thing, and our brain is really powerful. So our attitudes are, in a sense, a self-fulfilling prophecy. In this therapy, a neuro-linguistic therapist will analyze every word and phrase a patient uses to describe their symptoms or concerns about their health. And the therapist will then examine the patient's facial expressions and body movements. I'm guessing they video this and then go back and analyze it.
Right. You'd have to, yeah.
There's no other way to, unless they're really good. So So after determining the problem or problems, the therapist will help their patient understand the root cause, and the therapist will help them reshape their thoughts and mental associations in order to fix their preconceived notions. And you hear about this a lot, but I guess you don't really realize it's called NLP or neuro-linguistic programming. You just hear of people saying, hey, your thoughts can determine and project your outlook for the day and can change the pattern of, all that kind of stuff. But apparently there's some truth behind that.
Well, and growing up in the type of church that I grew up in, they, speak very often of how your words shape your reality. Much in the same way that God spoke creation into existence. Whether you believe that or not, it's a fact that the words that we use and the thoughts that we have definitely do affect us. Because perception is reality, and that is just true. That's not a weird holistic thing. That's scientific fact. Whatever you perceive is what you genuinely believe to be real. If Robert says something and my perception of it is that he was being rude, as far as I know and as far as I'm concerned, my entire reality is that Robert is rude, whether he is or isn't. So
he is.
What's even more interesting with that is that's a very and just here's a free tip for you listening right now.
Dun, 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 dun.
That is a wonderful life hack, is recognizing that everyone's perception is their reality, especially as it pertains to trying to diffuse any kind of hostile or angry sort of things.
Or deal with children.
Or deal with children.
Late night, I don't want to go to bed because blah, blah, blah might happen. To you, that's completely irrational, that there's a monster that's going to suck your brains out. But to them, they think that's a reality.
It's as real to them as the grass in the front yard is.
The cartoons they're allowed to watch, that happens. Yeah. So you're like, you have to convince them, like, look, that's stupid. You can't say that, but you have to be like, I see you have a fear of this happening. Let me show you how this isn't going to happen. Or maybe I can protect you or whatever.
Yeah, I used to, kind of take up this idea if someone was upset with me for something that wasn't true. For instance, somebody might be upset because they misunderstood something that I said. I would just kind of have a very blasé attitude, like, well, that's not my problem. That's not what I meant. So I'm not going to apologize. I'm not going to do anything about that because they're wrong. That's not what I meant. But then realizing that, well, as far as they're concerned, as far as they know, that is exactly what you meant. That is exactly, and so that kind of helps you take your own, pick up a little bit of your own responsibility and say, I need to fix this issue myself, even though that's not what I meant to them. That is what I meant, regardless of what I think. So, fun fact. We can move on because if you've noticed, these have been getting a little bit more bizarre as we've gone.
We're getting out there. You put something in the notes, which I'm not exactly familiar with, about energy psychology, and I don't know what that is. So I was hoping you would expound on that a little bit.
So I've heard of this before, and I've heard of it used to treat all kinds of things, especially like depression, and an old friend of mine with an eating disorder went through this and swore that it worked. And she told me about it, and I thought it sounded crazy. But
energy psychology?
Energy psychology. So I've never heard her call it that. It was actually, she referred to it as letters. It was 3 letters, and I looked it up. But
ABCs.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
So she would go read her AB. No. So energy psychology is a type of therapy that uses various techniques like acupressure, yoga, tai chi,
gotcha,
prana, qigong,
all the things.
And what my friend used was energy medicine. So, which just,
it's a thing.
It's a little out there for me. So all of this is designed to teach people simple steps for making changes in their lives. The techniques stimulate energy points on the surface of the skin, which, when paired with specific psychological procedures, can shift the brain's electrochemistry. While this type of therapy is still a very controversial area,
I can imagine,
it appears to be very helpful with dealing with phobias and, is specifically dealing with the energies. They talk about energies and auras.
I hear that a lot, especially being in the music industry like you and I are. We hear some people come into the studio and they'll talk about the energy or the vibe or the aura or the colors they see around us or surrounding us. I was
about to say colors, yeah.
I've dealt with a lot of artists, many from other countries too, who will say, you've got a really good aura. I can see a lot of purple here. Or I don't even know what that means, but I just say thank you. And if that's important to them, then I'm glad that I was the right color or whatever that is. Well,
and there's people that will use stones, different types of molecules, and there are people who take it very much to the spiritual sort of
the crystals and stuff. Maybe?
But then there are people who will argue that it's the molecular structure that changes energy. I mean, we know that energy is real.
You can get into the planets aligning certain ways, or the way the moon is overhead,
right?
Adjusting energy. I once went with my wife. I think we were married at the time. Yeah. To a doctor in Phoenix where they used energy to heal the back problems she had. And again, to me, the whole time I'm sitting there trying not to laugh, thinking this is a bunch of this guy's a quack. He would not touch her, but rub her hands, his hands, above her, a few inches above her skin, just from head to toe, just back and forth, and oh.
Cleansing.
Does this hurt over
energy
here? Does your back hurt on this part? She's like, yeah. And I'm like, babe. It's like,
everybody's back hurts right there.
As a 400-year-old man, I can tell you my back's been hurting there for centuries. She was all about it, and her dad too. And to me, it was just weird. And that's just because, not saying that it's right or wrong or real or fake or whatever it is. And maybe that kind of coincides with the mental thing, the placebo effect. If they say, hey, your energy is not aligned here, I can align your energy. And they think mentally, now my energy is aligned, my back won't hurt anymore. It could happen.
Well, and again, back to perception is reality. If their perception is 100% that works or that worked, then their reality is that it did.
And to me, I'm going, there ain't no way.
Now, when you're dealing with physical ailments, I don't know. I mean, like we were saying, the mind is a strong thing. But if specifically like a phobia that is 100% mental, then I could very much understand why these might work very, very well.
Yeah.
And I mean, the reason they're listed here is because they're commonly used techniques because they work.
Sure. And I mean, these are techniques that are used, like I said, with my wife, that are not just for physical ailments, but, for mental illnesses, and seem to bring out positive changes in the lives of those who try them.
Makes sense.
Yeah. So I was looking on forums online, trying to scour the internet for anything having to do with melophobia.
It's slim pickings.
It's tough. It's a real thing, and people have it, but there's not a lot of resources for it.
Well, and we'll talk about this here in a minute, but it's a lot of people, it's not that uncommon, but people typically are very embarrassed by it.
I can understand.
That's why you don't hear about it so much.
So I found a forum on Fandom about melophobia, and this one anonymous user says, quote, I went from a classically trained coloratura soprano whose entire life was accompanied by music of all genres, rock, folk, classical, jazz, to a weeping, quivering wreck who could not bear the sound of a TV commercial jingle following the death of my husband.
Wow.
I had never heard of anything like this. Neither had my therapist. Over months and months of a unique treatment we came up with suitable for me, I was able to get things under control. What I did was I began to sing a narrative of whatever I was doing around the house. I kind of do that, by the way.
Sing narratives of everything I do.
Me too.
Especially to my kids.
Driving in my car, turning left. This guy doesn't know how to use his signal. He's out of blinker fluid. What happened to him?
I used to have the worst road rage. I had the worst road rage.
Dude.
And that is how I completely got rid of my road rage. 100% is I sing to people.
I think it's funny that you say you completely got rid of that. I had ridden in the car with you recently, and I'm like, I'm going to die.
Really?
Not that bad.
I don't remember that.
On our tour, when we went up north.
Usually I'm just really sarcastic.
We were in the car for 30 hours.
This is true. Literally
30 hours. And you drove more than I did.
Yeah. Okay, close. Almost absolved my road rage.
Almost. So we'll put it at a good 88%.
Listen, it helps, okay? Okay, you jerk.
Why are you getting mad? Why are you shaking your fist at me? Anyway, okay, back to the quote. Where did I leave off? I was reading a quote from this anonymous person. Okay, So they began to sing a narrative of whatever they were doing around the house. Okay. And it says, a kind of operatic recitative.
Makes sense. That'd be my best guess for that word.
For as long as I could. It was silly and it made me laugh. The laughter helped the most, I think. So it kind of, I guess if you want to call it, broke character for what normally he or she would be weirded out or hesitant about or scared of or, fearful of. The laughter completely broke that character and was like, oh, wait, that's funny. I can get in my car. I can turn on a TV. That's funny. What am I doing? Yeah, that's funny. Anyway, so singing to yourself, which is kind of, I guess if you have arachnophobia and you're scared of spiders, putting a spider in your pocket is like the opposite of what you should be doing.
No. So, okay, it's to that specifically,
Go.
Arachnophobia. I used to, if I was in the same room as a spider, there was nothing else I could think about. It would scare me so bad. I had to deal with it right now.
Okay.
I lived in, may possibly still live in, I live in a house on a lot of property, lots of grass, lots of trees, and lots of spiders.
Well, it's a very wooden house.
It is lots of wood, yeah.
Yeah, it's like very rustic wood.
And
on a acreage, like a huge amount of acres of like woodland. Like there we saw deer and all sorts of things, pieces of deer, wildlife, it's their habitat that you're living in.
Right. And so I started seeing more spiders than I could handle and was forced into a situation where, okay, I can either be terrified 100% of the day or I can get over this really fast.
Yeah.
And so what I wound up doing was some research. I researched
you sure did.
Every kind of spider that I saw, as well as other types of spiders in the area, and what kinds of spiders are poisonous, what kinds of spider poison are deadly, which kind just hurt, which kind, and everything. So much so,
it's true,
that there was a spider in my bathtub a couple of weeks ago, and I wanted him in my studio because that particular spider eats other kinds of spiders that are really bad.
Yeah.
And so I tried to catch it, and it bit me. It bit me on my finger, and it didn't, it felt like a pinch, and it might have startled me a little bit, but it didn't bleed. If there was poison, I definitely didn't feel it. And I wound up catching the spider, and I put him in my studio, and he's, as far as I know, still in there eating bad spiders and bad bugs.
Where were we? What city or state? I don't even remember where we were. Where we went on a brown recluse hunt, and we found several. Was that Ohio?
You could just say Ohio, and that's a pretty solid guess.
I think we were in Ohio. I'm fairly certain we were in Ohio.
We found 6 in one night?
We found a whole bunch of brown recluses, and then we couldn't find, our problem was not being able to find other bugs to feed them, because we wanted to have like a battle royale in the plastic cups that were in the hotel room.
We eventually just put all the brown recluses in one jar.
Last man standing.
And the biggest one ate them all.
Yeah, they won.
They were just like spider bits the next morning.
We posted videos to social media accounts for that.
They gave us a huge discount on that room, if not for free. I can't remember.
Well, it took a little finagling too, because at first, there was a young guy, a kid, I would even say, working the front desk, like the late shift. And he's like, well, did you squash them?
Right.
And we're like, we just said we found 6 brown recluses in the room that we were staying in.
Well, at very first, he was like, oh, it's not a brown recluse. I'm like,
oh, yeah. Well, here it is on Google, and here's the spider.
I've got it right here.
Yeah.
You're welcome to hold it.
The epitome of, if you don't think it is, we should have said, how much are you willing to bet on this?
Well, and brown recluses, so I was thinking no one in my family was allergic because my house last year was infested with them.
Yeah.
And when I say infested, I mean, not even last year, this year, almost last year.
Well, we live in the South.
It wasn't 6 that we found, 3 in the hotel room. We found 6 in my home in a matter of about, 10, 15 minutes? Just because we decided to look. We found one everywhere.
Right.
We found one everywhere we looked, and I think it was time to eat dinner, so we just quit looking.
We found 3 in the hotel room. We found 6 in in a room in your house because we were like, let's just see if we can find any.
Like, there's probably where one is. Oh, look, there's two.
There they are.
And I thought, there's no way that there's this many, and we've never been bit. And we hadn't. So I just thought, because like poison ivy, not everyone is allergic to brown recluse bites.
That's a fun fact.
When you see photos of people with those big nasty holes in their skin,
those are the worst ones who are very allergic to them.
Yeah, right. That's not. I mean, yes, it's the venom, but it's their body's allergic reaction to the venom.
Right.
And so not everyone's allergic. In fact, only 10% of the population is actually allergic to brown recluse venom. And,
I know who has all 10% of that.
Yeah. So come to find out, my wife is one of those lucky people. And the other fun fact about brown recluses is that their mouth, their jaw is so small that they cannot bite of their own volition the flat human skin. What they need is added pressure.
So when you step in your shoe,
a sock or a shoe,
if you roll over on them in bed.
Yep. And in her case, she had a pair of stretchy night pants. And one, I guess maybe she'd left them in the floor, picked them up, put them on.
Didn't fit.
And I think she went to go potty and noticed a red spot that was really hot and hurt.
Oh.
And it was only...
Freaks me out, dude.
A matter of 24 hours before it was incredibly evident that it was a brown recluse bite. And
I didn't see the pictures, but my wife, I guess, was texting with your wife about it and seeing the pictures back and forth. And I would see my wife's reaction to the pictures. And she'd be like, oh no. She needs to go to the doctor.
6 or 8 months ago?
Yeah-ish.
And she will forever, as far as I know, and still to this day, has a massive, the size of the infected area. I say mass, it's not that big, but pretty big.
But the size of the spider is, a nickel. And
the size of a $50 scar where the skin, it was bad. It was bad. It took a lot of medicine, a lot of trips to the doctor just to...
were we on that trip where we went brown recluse hunting in the hotel when you were telling us about this or when this was happening?
Probably, yeah.
And you were like, oh man, this is gross. It's weeping. Ugh. I'm like, no, don't use the word weeping.
Oh, that's an awful word. I would not have used that word because people use it for the word to describe pimples.
You used that with poison ivy and brown recluses
I think that's
recently.
Right. Yeah.
Anyway.
To me, that's a cuss word and it really gets
it's pretty nasty,
drives
dude.
it home.
That's pretty nasty. We need to talk about, we need to get back to melophobia.
All right, so let's wrap this up.
Arachnophobia.
Let's wrap up melophobia. So here are some random facts, some fun facts about melophobia. Number one, most melophobic patients are not actually rock stars. So when we're talking about people with melophobia, it's typically caused by
tinnitus.
Right. Acute, not even chronic, acute tinnitus or hyperacusis.
Which still hurts like crap.
You would assume that it would be people who are in rock bands, loud music,
drummers,
hip hop, rap, just loud, low, bass, aggressive.
All the time, yeah.
False.
What?
Most melophobia patients are in orchestras, philharmonics, or symphony groups, or are piano players.
Like Liberace?
Like Liberace.
See our last episode if you haven't.
Maybe he had melophobia. Maybe that's all of his problems. And
P.S. I heard that he might have died of botulism and not AIDS, which is the spoiler to what they said he died of the heart attack thing earlier.
Huh. I don't know.
Anyway, go on.
Well, so due to the loud the reason why it's those people and not rock stars is because those are loud groups of instruments. It's, an orchestra could be 100 people all blasting. Yeah, the same songs, and a band that's louder than an amplifier or a pair of drums when you've got 3 drum sets or snares and horns and everything blasting in your face.
And really annoying if it's a high school band.
Well, the other thing too to take into consideration with those people, people in symphonic bands and philharmonics is that they tend to also practice much more than people in bands. So they might spend 6 or 8 hours every single day practicing their tuba or their French horn.
Sure.
And then go get on a stage and, in front of 100 other musicians, all
it again.
doing it. Yeah. And so, and they'll do that constantly. And they also typically start at a younger age. And so they're exposing themselves to these loud noises much sooner. So the damage that's caused by the time they're in their early 20s is pretty significant.
I started in 7th grade officially in band, and my daughter is in 5th grade and starting right now.
Wow.
Crazy. Number 2 fun fact that is random about melophobia is it's common for people with this condition to actually have it and not know that they have it. So maybe there's some kind of hesitance, like, I don't know why I don't want to. I'm just not a big fan of concerts. I don't want to go to concerts. I just don't want to. I don't know. I think I'm going to stay in the house tonight.
That makes sense. I mean, I was talking about my friend earlier, and I know he doesn't. If he does have it, he doesn't know he has it. Maybe, I think it's just he's just convinced himself that that's normal. So, fun fact number 3.
Numero tres.
The biggest telltale sign that someone has melophobia is their excessive and unusual use of earplugs. So,
wait, we were just talking about that.
You're going to the grocery store, and your friend's like, "Wait, I need to put my earplugs in," or you're just driving somewhere, and they're like, "No, wait, you got to put my earplugs in." That's a good sign right there that they might have melophobia.
So, fun fact number 4, while melophobia is not limited exclusively to music, the loud nature, high-pitched tones, and large variants of sounds make music especially troublesome for those who fear sound itself.
That's why it is 99.9% of the time attributed to music. It could be just the sounds of a busy city street, but most people don't find themselves on a busy city street every day.
And I can see how people with melophobia don't talk about it because either they don't know about it or because maybe to them it's either A, normal. I mean, to them it's normal. Or B, something that's so trivial you don't want to bring it up. Like, why would I just tell people? I mean, I just put my earbuds in and don't need to hear the car while I drive. Like, this is something I prefer. Well, and that's weird to tell the people.
Exactly. And truth be told, I mean, you have to think about, there's a lot of everyday things that we do where we're exposing our ears to a lot of loud noises.
Yeah.
And someone with this fear is not going to do that. And that's why it can be embarrassing. You get invited to a New Year's Eve party and
that's right.
You decline and you don't want to say, well, it's because I'm afraid that there's going to be music or loud noises, or fireworks.
Say that sentence, yeah.
So you just politely say, "Oh no, thanks. I've got plans already." And your plans are put your headphones on and sit on your couch and in a ball and
read. Mad Magazine.
So, fun fact number 5, our final fact here, with a massive increase in the use of earbuds. Or earpods.
Whatever the youngsters are calling them these days.
Or AirPods, the most popular thing now. I really want a pair of those. Melophobia is actually becoming increasingly problematic.
Sure.
As music fans expose their ears to loud music for extended periods of time and potentially damaging their eardrums and creating the irrational fear that they may do it again by mistake. And I remember with my iPod, I was the only person I knew that had one. And of course I was an angsty teenager. So I listened to my rock and roll music as loud as I possibly could.
I was the guy who set a threshold that limiter threshold they have set on there, for safety reasons. Like, don't let it get louder than this. I was like, I don't want to hurt my ears. I was that nerd.
I think I was 14 or 15 when that first gen came out. And my stepmom would, hey, Jake. Hey, Jake. And then I would see her lips moving, so I would take my earbuds out and say, did you say something? She'd be like, if you can't hear me, then that's way too loud.
I'd play that trick on my kids.
I'm like,
I hear them.
Wait, I'm plugging my ears with a device. I mean, if there was no music playing through it, I wouldn't be able to hear you.
I still couldn't hear you. I'll just lip words to my kids. Like, you can hear me. I'm like, because you're listening to our podcast, you can't see me lip talking right now. Anyway, it's like listening to stand-up comedians who do albums and then I did this. And then everybody roars with laughter. Like, what did you do?
They did something on stage that we couldn't see.
This was a music record. This is audio. We don't know what you just did. Say it. Say us.
Oh, and every once in a while, they'll just like keep railing on that one thing and just keep talking about it. It's like, I have no idea what like that.
Why didn't you cut that track off of your
last
album?
3 tracks were all about that one joke that was all physical. We couldn't see it.
Yeah. I mean, common sense, people.
So that's Melophobia. And I would say in a nutshell, but no, that's Melophobia.
That's all there is to Melophobia. There's no more to it.
So now you know, and I would be extremely curious to know, please reach out to us and let us know if you think you might have it or if you know someone who may have it that may or may not know that they have it. Tweet us, Instagram us your Melophobia stories, Facebook us.
Or do you think you have Melophobia or know someone who does? We'd love to know. We'd love to talk to you about it because we haven't talked to anybody about it. And this is kind of cool to us.
In fact, I would love to, if you have it or know someone who does, we might do a follow-up episode and have you on the show.
Let's do it. But hit us up at Turned Up Podcast or Facebook.com/Turned Up Podcast. Or you can just hit us up on the webs at
www.turneduppodcast.com. And the other amazing thing that you can do on turneduppodcast.com is become a patron.
I was going to say look at our faces, but that's fine.
You can do that too.
You know you're in the right spot when you see Jake and my face pop up.
And what I love is that we have little handwritten, we wrote our names on each of us so that you know which one of us is Jake and which one of us is Robert. Although you can probably tell the really ancient guy that's like 1,000 feet tall is Robert.
The gray-haired guy.
And the handsome young man with the mohawk is Jake Jones.
You have a mohawk in that picture, don't you? I forgot.
I do. I don't know if you can really tell though.
Right now you have a hat on, so it doesn't look like you have any hair. Your memoji would be very hatalicious.
Hatalicious. My memoji has a black hat on, much like the one I have right now.
I do not have a black hat on right now. For the record, in case you're trying to visualize us.
You just got your haircut and it looks very nice. We talked about that earlier. Become a patron. Let me tell you something about our patrons.
Go ahead.
Our patrons support us financially every month. They allow us to take the time necessary to research, to record the episodes, to
edit them,
mix them, put them where they need to go,
upload them,
travel to Los Angeles to attend the iHeart Music Awards, which we are.
We are nominated for the iHeart Music Podcast of the Year. Yeah,
first ever iHeart Music Podcast Awards.
This could be huge.
Now there is the iHeart Music Awards, which everyone knows that's the big Green Day meltdown. And those are huge. It's at the exact same arena.
But Jake, you and I are flying out there in January. Spend a few days.
It's a couple months.
Yeah, to walk the red carpet and to do the interviews and to sit at the tables with the people of podcasts that we listen to and that you listen to. And they're going to call our name in front of all these hundreds of thousands of people. And what are we going to do? We're going to wear a shirt.
We are going to wear a shirt.
We're going to wear a shirt that says something controversial.
So go back and listen to last week's episode and we'll talk about it and you can help us decide what it needs to say.
Is this a bad idea or a good idea? Because I'm on the fence about it, but I think that means we should do it.
But something else really cool that we're going to be doing is while we're there is giving special backstage live broadcasts to our patrons
behind
through our
the
special
scenes,
patron Facebook page. And if you become a patron, you also get a lot of cool perks. You get to chat with us every week about episode ideas that you might have or about the episodes that we did. Let us know your thoughts. And it's a very small, closed, personal group.
We talk to you. We're in there. We're part of it.
We want to get to know you. Also, you get a cool sticker depending on how much you're able to give.
You can even come hang out with us in the studio.
You can get a mug. You can come hang out with us in the studio. You can even record an intro for a show. So all of that is on turneduppodcast.com. Go to the top right corner and you'll see a button that says Become a Patron. It's
really cryptic. It's hard to find.
You can see all the different kind of levels, I guess.
Options, availability. Yeah. But that's what's keeping this. I mean, we can't even. That's supporting us in a way. It's paying for our trip out there to LA. It's paying for us to be able to have a place to host this podcast because that costs money. For us even to put the podcast into your ear holes, just for a hobby that Jake, you and I have, and it's kind of fun for us to be able to talk to you as a listener about the things that we know and things we don't even know about that we learn the same time you're learning. But it provides that platform to us.
It does. And as things progress and as we move further and further into this, it's becoming less and less of a hobby.
It's actually kind of, it's a job. I want to say job, but it is work.
It's not work. It's a job, but as long as you're doing what you love for your job, you'll never work a day in your life.
That sounds like some kind of quote on the inside of like a chocolate heart.
I think it is. I think it's where I got it from. It's like one of those Dove chocolates.
Or like a poster with a tiger on it or something.
Of course.
Like an inspirational quote.
I have like 3 of those in my bathroom.
Maybe the Lego movie?
Probably.
Yeah, I can't remember. Anyway, it's fun for us, but it justifies us spending time away from our family and our jobs and things that we need to be doing to be able to do this.
And to our patrons that we currently have, thank you, because that is you.
Let's do shout outs.
Let's absolutely do shout outs to our newest patron. First of all, MD Biacco.
Is that Dr. Biacco?
That is not medical Dr. Biacco. I'm just going to give him a shout out because he's a cool dude and I know he would love it. That's Drew.
We worked with him.
We did, from the band King's Peak. Check those guys out. They're going to be coming into the studio actually very soon.
They're going to rock your faces.
They've got some really cool stuff going on.
We also have Katie Mouse 713,
Michael J83,
Devin Casey,
Laura Ann Elise 7.
All 3 names there. Samantha Seeger,
Natalie B,
Jen Walter number 1,
who was on an episode and did our intro.
She did our intro, yeah. She sat right over there on that couch while we talked.
And Josiah 820. So thank you guys so much. Week over week, month over month, you make this podcast possible.
I kind of missed the first 819 Josiahs.
None of them are as good as number 820 and 821 through 573,000.
It's a lot of Josiahs.
It just all goes downhill from there.
Wow.
Yeah.
Congratulations, Josiah 820, for being the pinnacle of the Josiahs.
You were the best Josiah 820
that I've ever met and haven't met at the same time.
Simultaneously.
But I feel like I know you, but I don't know you.
Catch us on the Facebook page and we can chat about it, Josiah.
We can just send pictures of each other. And that's what we do in the Facebook page. We can post pictures and videos and things that are kind of behind the scenes, which is fun.
And we like to hear from you. We get episode ideas as well as, again, just ways to make the show better.
Did you see Jake's video that he put up about how to vote for us for the iHeart Podcast Awards?
Side note, I completely neglected to put how to vote for us on Instagram and Twitter. However, if you go through the steps that I lay out on there, and you can see not only my beautiful face, but you can also see
his regular face,
a screenshot of my phone, or not a screenshot, a video of my phone as I'm voting. If you go through that process, they explain in great detail how to do that, because you can vote literally 15 times a day, because you can vote 5 times on the website, 5 times on Twitter, and 5 times on Instagram.
All the times.
Are that amazing and want us to win that bad.
As
and
bad
we
as
want to win that bad.
Yeah.
Because what we're up against, Song Exploder, Bobby Cass, who's Bobby Bones, who just won
Dancing with the Stars,
which is ridiculous. All Songs Considered, which is by NPR.
Cocaine and Rhinestones, what's that one called?
Cocaine and Rhinestones, and
one out of Memphis.
The last one is what was Disgraceland?
Disgraceland.
Instead of Graceland, which is Elvis's.
That's right. That's the one out of
property,
Memphis.
Disgraceland.
Rhinestones and Cocaine and Rhinestones is not out of Memphis, is it? I don't think it is.
I'm not sure.
I don't know. All great podcasts.
And completely honored to be in that kind of company.
And then there's us. Like, why?
One of these things is not like the others. But the truth is, if there was no one there to listen to us, then we wouldn't have a podcast, especially iHeart would not have noticed us. So it is 100% because of you.
By the way, yes, thanks for that. It'll be a fun trip. It'll be a fun experience. Regardless if we win, Jake, you and I are going to sit at a table with really talented people in a room full of even more talented people. And we're just going to be happy to be there.
It's going to be awesome, and just a whole other Thanksgiving in January.
We're going to drink bottled water. We're going to have entrees and appetizers.
Hors d'oeuvres.
The things?
Hors d'oeuvres.
The Petit's Fours?
Yes.
Those are expensive. Where are we going to get them from? Why do I all of a sudden have like a southern lisp? That's weird.
Zach Galifianakis, Seth Galifianakis, his brother. My name is Thea.
Right in the biscuits, right there betwixt them.
Right there betwixt them. That's a true story, by the way, that movie. If you know what that quote's from, let us know. If you don't, well, then you should look at the people who do.
Are we doing any giveaways? We were talking about a giveaway. Have we announced it yet?
We have not announced it yet.
Let's not announce it yet. Let's wait.
Check out the Twitter and Instagram because we will be announcing it this week.
True story.
Of course, as always, we love you and we can't wait to see you next week.
Or we can't wait for you to hear us next week because we can't see you very well. I'm looking into the soul of this microphone right now and can't see crap.
No, I can see him.
Is that them?
I can see you right there listening.
All of them?
In your car. That's
I see you on the bus.
Yeah, there you are. You just turned left.
Walking your dog. Sitting in the jacuzzi.
In Bangladesh.
Is that a bathtub? Why is it snowing there? Are you in an island? Is that scrambled eggs?
That's Germany right there.
We should just jet out of here. We have things to do. So until next time, this is Nashville signing out.
Peace.